content, working through the hexagon, and forgot to push go live. How awesome is that? So make sure you push the button. It is Thursday, May 16th, and we're going to do a little bit of a mashup of both Throwback Thursday, throwback to a tool that you've seen a couple of times before if you've been following me for a while, and Whiteboard Wednesday. And we're going to now, because I've already got the tool up here, and turn around this way. Now that I already have the tool up there, you get to see the tool in motion. This is a little bit of foreshadowing, a preview of what we're going to talk about, which is ultimately the hexagon, which is the most complex tool that I use in the work that I do and that I share with clients when helping facilitate discussions with their teams, helping to work through challenges that we're working through as a leadership team inside organizations that I'm a part of. This is the core of how I do what I do and how I frame a lot of the questions that I ask in that environment. So let's wipe the slate clean and get started. The first question that we want to answer at the top of the hexagon is what? What is the specific thing or problem that we are focusing time, energy, and attention? What do we need to get done? What's the problem that we need to solve in the marketplace? Now, when you're doing this with a large team, a group of people, like an offsite, this is a better question to ask in the context of, or the better version of the question is, hey, what are some of the problems we solve for in the marketplace? Then shift the question slightly and say, what are some of the problems that our customers believe we solve in the marketplace? So let's get a clear defined definition of what, and what is problem we solve for, problem we solve for, problem we solve for. And yes, that can be plural. You can have multiple problems that you solve for. Every time you add something in there, you're going to create a little bit of complexity. My recommendation, reduce complexity, simplify, and you'll be able to move things forward a bit faster. You eliminate before you accelerate. Eliminate before you accelerate. So number one, what? What problem are we solving for? Number two, who? Okay, so here, this one's kind of fun because you get into who has the problem. So I'm going to put who on the inside here. Who has the problem? Who's impacted by the problem? And then the third one is who cares about the people who either have or are impacted by the problem? Three different perspectives. A lot of times we get into, oh, so-and-so has a problem. Well, have they done this? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? What about this? Why not try this? We get right into solution design without actually understanding context, getting full context, clear perspective. So what problem? Who has that problem? You could have multiple people who have that problem. Actually, that's ideal. If a lot of people have that problem, then you get some more perspectives from them, right? Who's impacted by the problem? Who's impacted by the reality that this problem still exists in the world? And then ultimately, who cares about both the people who have or are impacted by the problem? What, who, and then on this side, why? Now, why is a fun one? This is where you get into some of the root cause analysis type stuff. So why does the problem persist? Why does the problem persist? And if you have ever hung out around a 2-year-old, you understand that they will continue to ask why. They will continue to ask why. They just want to go deeper and deeper and deeper to get an understanding of things. They're not trying to be pains. They're trying to gain understanding, gain clarification. Why does the problem persist? And the second, why is it important to solve? What's the actual impact of solving that problem? Another cool way to look at this is what's the risk of not solving it? So what's the impact of solving it versus the risk of not solving? What problem, who, the people, and then why does it continue? What's the risk of not solving? What's the benefit of solving? So we've got three really important questions. What, who, and why. Now, if you're working on this for yourself, like you're just working on an individual problem, I actually flip these around. I suggest you go from what to why, and then who, to gain additional perspective. But when working with teams, and most of us are working with teams, we've got other people that we're working with, whether they're inside our family or they're a part of the business that we're a part of. We've got groups of people, and we can get their perspective, and they can help us overcome some of the blind spots that we have when we get so narrow focused on justifying or doing the thing that we want, just justifying why we're doing what we're doing. All right. So I joke around this and I call this my Mary Poppins approach to problem solving. Hey, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Good Yondu reference, good kids movie reference. We can laugh and we can smile and we can relate to this. And we start to say, okay, the umbrella is now covering the problem or the challenge or the thing that we're working on, this area of focus. We're starting to add scope rather than creating a space for a lot of scope creep. All right. So what, who, and why? It's important that you do it in that order when you're working with teams. If you're working as an individual, then let's shift the order around and get into what, why, and then who. All right. Next question, the one that everybody gets excited about, where you tend to go first. Well, I tend to go first the first time that I hear of a challenge that someone's working through, is we want to move right into how. And the cool thing about how is a lot of people want to hear the how first. They're like, hey, how are you solving this? And where people get frustrated with me is I start asking all of these questions at the top, and they're like, I just want to get to the answer. I don't want to have the interrogation. I don't want to have all the questions. Here's why you need the questions. If you skip steps, you will take on risk. You may solve for a problem that is not really that important to be solved for, or is simply a symptom of a much bigger problem, and you're putting time, energy, and attention in the wrong place. So how are we doing it today? This provides context, helps us understand, is the person on the other end, or are we actually doing work to solve that specific problem? Yes or no. Sometimes we are, sometimes we aren't. Yes or no. Are we actually doing this kind of stuff? How today? And then the second one is how tomorrow. What will be different? What will change? What's this vision of the future that's going to be better or different than where we are today? So today, current state, tomorrow, desired state, this future vision of where things are working. Today, we're frustrated because we have a problem that exists, even though we're doing a lot of work to solve for it. Tomorrow, we put the solution in place. All of a sudden, good things tend to happen, or good things should happen if we design properly. Next question, when? When do we need to solve this by? Is this a problem that we need to solve today, or is it a problem that we need to solve on the 4th of never? Is it a problem we need to solve in the next 10 years? Here's this really, really hard thing and exciting thing. Sometimes these problems that you've got a longer period of time to solve for are really the most important ones to focus on today, because they will put you in a better position tomorrow. So let's agree as a team, when do we need to solve for this problem? And then the last part, the bottom of the hexagon, I'm going to get rid of my umbrella hanger. The last part is our 30, 60, 90. What are we going to do in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in order to solve for this thing? What's our plan? Short-term, medium-term, long-term. I think that's one of the areas where people get most confused on this part of the model. Is it's not, no, you don't have to wait 30 days to do something, or 60 days or 90 days. Short-term, medium-term, long-term. 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. It's all about perspective. Where are we today? Where do we want to go tomorrow? And what's got to happen in between? What are the actual steps that have to happen in between, so that we design for next logical steps, we identify those next logical steps, and then we take those next logical steps. This is where you can channel your inner Covey, begin with the end in mind. What's the thing that happens in that 90-day period to demonstrate that we've actually solved for this? To work backward and then start executing forward. Most complex model that I share with folks, it can get frustrating because it's a lot of work. It is definitely time intensive. It will get you on the path to solve for the challenges that continue to persist inside your business, inside your home, and for yourself when you work through this tool set. The order of questions is really important because of the context that happens at the top of that hexagon. The bottom is where we start to get into how do we actually go through the process of solving? How do we actually execute? So we get the context at the top, we build out our plan at the bottom, and we start working our plan, and we iterate on that plan. Now, why 6 sides? Well, because there's 6 components to it. Why a hexagon? Each side is equally important. No side is more important than the other. It's not a hexagon that gets skewed. If, for whatever reason, there's a lack of clarity on something like when, well, now that hexagon has a dotted line. It that shape cannot hold water, we're taking on additional risk. If we've not clearly defined when, the likelihood of new shiny things, other priorities to come in is going to increase significantly. Same thing on the why side. If I don't really understand why the problem continues to persist, I haven't done my root cause analysis, I've not earned the right to move into the how we're going to solve it and building out our plan. I've got risk. That shape can't hold water. Cool thing about risk, everybody has a different spectrum of risk that they're comfortable with. So you've got to figure out, hey, what spectrum of risk am I comfortable with? Hope you enjoyed this Throwback Thursday and Whiteboard Wednesday mashup. The go live should have showed up on our YouTube channel and on the Catalyst LinkedIn channel. I'm going to do this a bit more often as a way to kind of kick off the day with some tools and some examples. If there's a specific problem that you're working on solving that you'd like to work through this live, I'm happy to do that on a LinkedIn Live. Just let me know. Send me a direct message. If there's a specific tool that you'd like to go deeper into, please let me know that as well. If you are a preneur, someone who wants to think differently so that you can do differently, and you want to do that either inside your organization, an entrepreneur, you want to build a company that you maybe want to sell one day, an entrepreneur, you don't really want to hire a bunch of people and you'd like to do it on your own, solopreneur, or you don't really know, you're still working on getting the guts to move forward, a entrepreneur, the Phoenix Club may be your community. It may be the perfect community for you because that's what we are. We are expreneurs, we're preneurs, we're people who think differently so that we can do differently. We are leaders of self, leaders of family, and leaders of teams. If that sounds interesting, check out the Phoenix Club. If you'd like me to facilitate a conversation like this with your team, check out findmycatalyst.com and go to the speaking page. You'll see some information there. We can book a clarity call, talk about specifically around what you're looking to accomplish and whether or not it might be the right fit. This typically works pretty well for teams, virtual teams who are either coming together in an offsite for the first time, maybe in a quarter or in a year, and facilitated discussion might help make sure that everybody is involved. This also works really well in a virtual environment. I've got a whiteboard and I'm not afraid to use it. So thank you. Please share this with somebody who you think might find value in the conversation or in the discussion. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you